Hi everyone, it's ProdigyRex back with another video, and today we will be reading Lunch Money Chapter 2. So let's begin. Chapter 2, Quarters. It was near the end of his 5th grade year, around 11:30 one morning during silent reading. Greg felt hungry, so he started to think about his lunch: a ham and cheese sandwich, a bag of nacho cheese Doritos, a bunch of red grapes, and an apple cherry juice box. His mom had made him a bag of lunch, but was fine with Greg. Making a lunch was much cheaper than buying one, and Greg loved saving money whenever possible. Plus, home food was usually better than school food. And on days he bought a bag of lunch, his mom also gave him 50 cents to buy dessert, which was also fine with Greg. Sometimes he bought a treat, and sometimes he held on to the money. On this particular day, he had been planning to spend both quarters on an ice cream sandwich. Then Greg remembered where his lunch was: at home on the kitchen counter. He did have $1 of his own money in his wallet and 2 quarters his mama gave him, but his whole school lunch cost $2. He needed 2 more quarters. So Greg walked up to the front of the classroom, waited until his teacher looked up from her book, and then said, "Mrs. McCormick, I left my lunch at home. May I borrow 50 cents? Mrs. McCormick had not missed a teaching opportunity in over 20 years, so she shook her head in a loud voice for the whole class to hear. She said, "I'm sorry, but no, I will not lend you the money. Do you know what would happen if I lended all the boys and girls 50 cents if I forgot their lunches? I go broke. That's what you need to learn to remember these things yourself." Then turning to class, Mrs. McCormick had announced, "Greg needs some lunch money. Can anyone hand over 50 cents? Over half of the kids in the classroom raised their hands. Embarrassed, Greg hurried over to Brian Lamont, and Brian handed him 2 quarters. "Thanks," said Greg. "Pay you back tomorrow." 10 minutes later, Greg was in the cafeteria line, shaking all 4 quarters around in his pocket. They made a nice clinking sound, and that reminded Greg how much he loved quarters. Stack up 4 and you got $1. Stack up 20 quarters and that's $5. Greg remembered one day when he piled up all his quarters in his dresser, 4 stacks, and each had been over a foot tall. Stacking up quarters like that always make Greg feel rich. Always make Greg feel rich. So, on that day in April of his 5th grade year, Greg started to look around the cafeteria, and everywhere he saw was quarters. He saw kids trading quarters for ice cream sandwiches and cupcakes and cookies at the dessert table. He saw kids over at the school store trading quarters for neon pens, sparkle pencils, and little decorations like rubber soccer balls and plastic butterflies to stick onto the ends of those new pencils. He saw Albert Hobart drop 3 quarters into a machine so he can have a cold old can of juice with his lunch. Kids were buying extra food, fancy pens, and pencils and drinks. There were quarters all over the place, buckets of them. And then Greg remembered those hands that had been raised in his classroom. All those kids with a couple extra quarters to lend him. Extra quarters. Excited, Greg started making some calculations in his head. Another one of his talents. There were about 450 4th, 5th, and 6th graders at Ashwood Intermediate School. If even half of those kids had 2 extra quarters to spend, and every day they must make at least $400 floating around the school. That was $100 a day, more than $500 a week. Money, extra money, just jingling around in pockets and lunch bags. At that moment, Greg's view of school changed completely and forever. School had suddenly become the most interesting place on the planet, because young Greg Kenton and decided that school would be an excellent place to earn his fortune. And that's the end of chapter 2. Make sure to like this video and subscribe, and hope you have a good day. Bye!